Hello everybody, it's SuffolkBlue, all the way from merry old England. How the devil are you? I hope you are well. Welcome back to our further adventures in KSP. Back to the vehicle assembly yard where we are now, and as you can see, I've renamed this rescue mission that we're going to do for Bill, who's stuck on the moon, and the other two who are in orbit, the SB Knight, as it's the Knight in Shining Armour, hopefully, which is going to go and rescue all of those and bring them back. This design hasn't changed, it's the same as before, and neither is this design, but I've decided to move away from solid rocket boosters. So we're now moving into the era of liquid heavy lifting. Now this is very similar rocket design to the Delta IV Heavy, which was the same launch vehicle used for the Orion test earlier this year. So it's basically three of the large boosters at the bottom here. These are the big ones. They're these ones. Let me show you. These ones here, the main sails, the big ones. What I have done though is that whilst this one is thrusted at 100, these are actually thrusted at 90. So they're not going to be pushing quite as hard as the middle one, but they are also fuel transferring. So they're transferring their fuel from here into this main part here. And that means that when we get to separate these two off, this one here will remain at 100%, fully fueled for this whole canister, and will push us towards our orbit, hopefully, along with this second stage if we need it. Same again, slightly smaller engine in there though. Nothing else has changed. We've put on all the necessary clamps and blocks, and I think the thing to do now is to test it. I haven't tested this yet, but I have used this particular design in the past, and NASA uses it, so it should be alright, shouldn't it? So let's save this up. Let's save it up. And let's get it on the pad. Now I have already taken out the Kerbal that wanted to be in this vessel, because obviously it has a space for a crew, so it tried to put one in, but I have taken him out. So as you get, it's a nighttime launch. It's quite a big, it's a big rocket, to give it its fair dues. It's a big one. You're back in it again. Why are you there? You awkward little man. Hold on. Revert flight, vehicle assembly. Let's take him out again. No reason for him to be in here. Very annoying when this happens. Go away. Save, launch. Because if we have him in there, remember, we have to bring him home too. And the whole point of this is to bring home the three that are out there. We don't want to send another one out there to do that. We've got enough probe bodies on this to should be able to do this without worrying about sending out a Kerbal. There we go. He's not there anymore. So we put on our SAS. So hopefully we are going to point straight upwards. All engines fire at the same time at the bottom. Okay. Let's put our thrust up to full, I think, to start with. We don't have any lights on this, which is good. There's no gears, no brakes, fine. No other science mission. I hope we've got the staging right. Everything goes at once. We shall see. Okay. Let's get this rescue mission underway in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... Off we go. Going up, lovely. So you should see the fuel of these top two go down. This one should go down, but not quite as fast, because remember, fuel is transferring from these outside ones inside. We still don't want to go over 200. I'm just going to watch this overheat here and see whether I need to react. We should be alright. Thicker part of the atmosphere, remember, so we don't go over 200 at this point. We're just trying to get free of the gravity of Kerbal. 105. Overheat seems to have calmed itself down, which is good. Yeah, this is behaving very well actually for a build. Normally something will happen like I haven't put struts in. I've actually strutted it at the bottom, middle and top, and I've connected the two of these, so it should be pretty firm. 144. We're getting ready to actually power down a little bit. I don't want to use unnecessary fuel to get beyond. Let's do that. There we go. Just powering down a wee bit. Also takes the heat off. Still climbing, still speeding. There we go. Just take them down. So we're still at 200 as we pass through. Just enough. Okay, we're now going to go, as soon as we pass into the next part, we can turn that up a wee bit. There we go. Now going to begin the gravity turn to the east, to the 90 degrees, because we're still going to the moon. So power up now. And get ready to eject. Sorry, it's at night. There we go. Off they go. Those were the ones just exploded off the side there. Never mind. And as you can see, we have got a full fuel tank on this big engine. Now, it's not to say we're going to go super crazy with it, but we are speeding up. We are getting higher. Let's go to our world view and have a look at this rise. This needs to get up to at least, well, 72, at least to be in orbit, but we can just stick ourselves on that mark and let that grow. Would be pretty good. Let's have a look at our fuel. Fuel situation seems to be pretty good at the moment. Bearing in mind we have got another stage after this as well, which actually, depending on how efficient I am in getting into the into orbit, if I'm efficient getting into orbit at all, that is. Let's bring this down a little bit onto the numbers, just to begin to expand out. Just beginning to expand out the arc. I want it ahead of me a little bit so I can really prepare the next stage, which will burn very soon. 71, 72. There. So our stage is just finished. Let's get rid of that. Off it goes. On with the next stage. And we're just turning ourselves right over now. Still rising, 74. But the next job is to get us really over so that we can punch our way into orbits. There we go. I'm going to put us there. And that will begin to expand out. It is at night time, sorry about that. Could have waited to daytime, I suppose, but never mind. No lights on here. Don't need them. We shouldn't need them anyway. Watching that fuel, should be going fine. Let's put up that engine to full now, because we are going to try to get into orbit before we get to this periapsis, which is in 28 seconds, which is not going to happen. Let's put our nose to there. If we can get into orbit at about 76, we are in orbit. We're above the atmosphere, we should be fine. But we have got to make up quite a lot of speed to do this. Perhaps I should have gone harder with the engines. Got another 600 or so meters per second needed, which might tip us over the edge. Try to keep us on. Try to keep us at least as much on the apparatus as possible, just by putting our nose up again. I don't know about this. Interesting, we'll see in a second. 700. Just keeping us on the mark. 18, 19. Should expand itself out shortly. There we go, let's put ourselves back on the dot. Put our apparatus ahead of us, which is where we want it to be. Let's put our nose on the dot. Keep ourselves there. You can see our orbit now stretching out ahead of us. And bomb. So, how much fuel have we got? No, not bad. Not bad. So, we are in orbit. We've got an orbit of 75 by 113, which is fine. That's not a problem. In actual fact, we may be able to make a push straight for the moon, because we're here. If I make a push here... Oh, a bit later than that. We need to go a bit later than that. Let's go there. something like that, I think. 881. Yep, dead on the line, so we haven't to do much with that. We are going to be going out of... Oh, that's the return, isn't it? So we'll go out, we'll get captured. Do I need to have more speed? If I want to catch it earlier. I don't think it makes a great deal of difference, so we'll go about 885. Let's get ourselves on the mark. We have got plenty of fuel for this, should be. I keep saying that, I said that last time during the actual mission and it all went completely wrong. Let's pull ourselves right over here. Where is the... Oh, there's the mark. It's a big ship when you're trying to do that sort of turn. I have got some RTS I could use, but only at the top end, not at the booster end, which is sort of where you want it, really. Doesn't matter if we use some of the fuel in the other one, because obviously we have got plenty of fuel and we only really need to fill up one of those tanks, so we can use one of the tanks completely and still have a full tank for the other mission. There we go. So we've popped our nose at the right point. This is now going to travel around. Let's speed up time and get ourselves around this planet. We've got 13 minutes until we're due to make the burn. Hopefully the sun will come up in a little while so we have some light in this video. There it is. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm going to slow down at this point. Okay, let's just... It's a 1 minute 7 burn apparently, if you believe that. Not sure what I do. I did put some extra bits of science on here, just because I thought, why not? There's no pressure, no grav, no nothing, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to burn... Let's get back on the dot. We're going to burn at... probably 1 minute 7, so we want to go about 60, 30, 35 seconds in, possibly, about 35 seconds, give or take. 58, just speed that up a little bit. We'll go at now. That will start to drop, although we won't have enough fuel, I think, for the full burn of this, but it's okay. As I say, we're doing a grand job of using up what we've got left, really, to push us on the way, and then we can use the last of this little bit, or start of this little bit, to get us on the way. Get over halfway will be good. Yeah, over halfway, that's good. Here it goes, that's going to run out any minute. Rid of that. Up the engine. So now we're floating free on just this stage. And there's the moon, that's where we're heading to. So we're pushing our way towards it now. Only got to do half a burn here, so not an enormous amount of fuel should be used, we should be fine. Stay on target. Okay, 200. Just going to slow this down in a second to control this final entry. Let's just drop that down to half now. Keeping on the blue for the most efficient burn. 94, 90. I did take off the little engines, if you notice. We will only be using these big engines. They're going to be fine for fuel. 63. Again, just cutting down the power so I can have a bit of control of the final stages of the burn. 24. we go, that probably should be okay. Get up to the right speed, I suppose. Here we go. 0.2, that'll be enough. So there we go, we have an encounter with the moon right all the way up there. Loads of fuel, tons and tons and tons of fuel, which is great. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll just speed this out. At least if we can get captured by the moon at this moment, I think would be a good start. I don't know whether this is going to come back. It isn't. It's just going to circulate around. There we go. Let's just speed up a little bit. Getting ready for our Mooner encounter. So we're probably going to be in the opposite direction. Marvellous. Just what I didn't need. Just what I didn't need. Oh, heaven's sake. Heavens above. That's not what we wanted at all. Because that's going to be going that way, we're going to be going that way. That's frustrating. It's going to make this burn very expensive indeed. So SuffolkBlue has yet again buggered it up. Do not put me in charge ever of a space rocket flight or anything at all. Let's use some RCS to get into the right position quicker for this. There we go. So we're now facing the right way at least. Let's get ourselves towards capture at least, and then we'll work out what on earth we're going to do. But we are going to be going backwards, which is not what we wanted to do at all. So there'll have to be some orbital changes. 47 seconds we're going to be looking for this burn apparently. Should be coming up on the moon. Again, we're back in darkness again. That's a pretty crescent though from Kerbal. Move ourselves in. 9, 8, 7, 47 seconds. I'm going to start burning now because I bet it's not. Oh, it might be. Okay. We'll give it a couple of more seconds, otherwise we'll be even worse in the wrong orbit. Oh, I went over the fast. Never mind. Just go. Just burn. We've got to do so many corrections with this anyway. So many corrections. And you can just see that curving round as we begin to get captured by the moon. And then we're going to have to come up with a... I mean, we're already at a tilt, so we could look at doing some up and over tilts to turn us over. Stay on the blue. Let's keep it as efficient as possible at least. Here comes the capture. Bing! And let's call it a capture at that point. Because the further you are away from the body, the easier it is to change your direction. So we're now using up fuel again, but we are at least now in orbit with the moon. The next question is how exactly do we go about? And if I speed this up, you'll see what I mean. Hopefully, I think we're going in the wrong direction anyway. Let's see. They're going that way round, and we're going that way round, and that's a problem. So I will go away. This is the end of the episode, I think, for today. We at least made it, but we are on tilt. So some of the things that we can look at doing is potentially doing something like, oops, not that, something like something like this. And you can see we're already using 400 and odd. Keep ourselves in orbit, that would be important. Something like that. Although actually we only want to we only really want to get to that parallel. And then maybe bring it in. And that would fix our orbit. We need 563 meters per second to do this, which is a lot. And we're not really at that moment in any orbit at all, or actually in any encounter at all. And depending on how we come in on this, we would have to. I might do that burn. Let's just get ourselves at least lined up. 538. 547. So when's that burn time? Node in 3 hours. Let's park myself over here. Oops. Using RCS also just slightly affects this, so we'll be a little bit careful. But let's get ourselves on that mark. If I have to do a 500 burn, it says it'll take a minute, and then after that we'll have to be very careful with our fuel. This is entirely unnecessary. Should be much better prepared than this for getting at least in the right place. Let's just speed up and bring that node down to 1. $16 minutes now. 15. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're on the dot still. Let's try and make and change this burn. I don't know how much fuel this is going to take. It's very annoying. 50 seconds. There's the moon, at least. 45, 44, 43, 42, 41. And now. Looking at the fuel levels, they are dropping. We really should still have enough, to be fair, because we don't need to fill up a whole. Whilst this one is still full, this one's almost empty, but if we can get half of tank of fuel into the other one, we'll be fine. So now we're changing our orbit. Stay on that blue because it'll be the most efficient of all the burns. Here we go again. Now into the other tank. Good job I put 2 tanks on this, considering I didn't realise I was going to do such a stupid thing as coming into the moon in the wrong direction. 144. We're going to wait to see if we go back out into orbit. Otherwise we're just crashing ourselves into the moon. Here we go. 44. Oop, there we go. Back out into orbit. So, according to our... Remember we were going that way around. Let's have a look and see whether we've changed that. We have. So now we are both travelling around the moon, at least, at this stage anyway, in the same direction. And what that means is, well, when we get to about something like this, although we are pretty close at this stage, we're not perfect, and we need to mess around with our... there it is, 24 kilometres away. It's too far for an encounter now, but we are travelling around at the same speed. We're currently going around outside of them, so we're they're going to be speeding up around us, and we're going to have to try and do some of that mode. But we'll do that next time. We'll arrange a docking in space. But there we go. That's how not to fly to the moon. Go in the wrong direction. change your direction and waste more fuel than you really needed to do. But in either case, we are now at least facing the right direction. We've made the orbital correction. The next time we'll get this targeted, and we will look at how we can get ourselves into some form of capture. Actually, if I bring that down a wee bit to start with. Yeah, not going to take too bad. Let's get 116 off that. Okay, well, I'll do that next time. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. If you have, leave a like. Loads of stuff going on the channel. We've got the Crusader Kings 2. We've got SimCity. We've got Minecraft. We've got KSP. We've got a new Let's Play coming soon as well. Good gracious, so much going on. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.